Are we starting the episode now?
Yep. Go.
Welcome back, Double Teams fam. How are we doing today?
This is our first episode back of the season of the year.
Woohoo.
Well, no, actually, technically, I posted a Vanilla Sunday, but it's our first episode back together.
I don't even know what our ad schedule or what our recording schedule is right now. So whenever this episode releases, hello.
It's releasing Thursday. I'm editing it to release for Thursday. So welcome back, guys. We're excited to be here. Honestly, I'm not going to lie. It was like nice to take a break. But like as soon as we started recording again, because we did record yesterday an episode with Abby, it was so nice to sit back down.
Nice
I love the studio. I love, our producers here at the studio. Like it feels like coming back home. That's what it feels like.
If you are a podcast in Los Angeles and you need to
Podcasting
record
services,
in the studio,
yeah.
viewpodcaster.com.
That's where we record. We love this studio. Yeah, sitting back down in these chairs just felt like home, which was really nice.
It does feel nice. I will say there is a certain level of confidence that coming back to podcasting brings me.
Yes. And like serotonin, it makes me happy.
It does. It makes me happy. And, it's funny because, I remember my boyfriend asked me the other day, he's like, what's something that, you're really proud of for yourself? And initially I answered it with some bullshit answer about I always got myself through everything, which is great. Yeah. You have to get through everything because, life goes on. But then I thought about it deeper and, sometimes I just forget to pat myself on the back with the podcast and how much we've, succeeded in that regard. So,
no, I agree. And also,
coming back to recording felt good.
I agree. And I think we forget we've been doing this almost 4 years now, which is crazy to freaking think about. But I look at where we started and where we are now, and it is pretty freaking amazing. And I know, things have changed a lot for us, especially for you guys listening. We're not talking about sex parties and non-monogamy anymore because we're both in monogamous relationships. But I hope that you're still here. I hope that you're still listening. I hope that you still get something out of it. I hope you still enjoy our conversations. And, at the end of the day, I want to still,
This is a sex positive space.
This is, yes. And that's what, I've tried to say before is that I am still very sex positive. I am still pro non-monogamy and polyamory. I am pro whatever you feel is going to bring you fulfillment and commitment or whatever that you're looking for, happiness, joy, passion, whatever. Whatever it is that's going to bring you that, I champion it. So as long as everything is consenting and, you're not harming others, so it's so I hope it is still that space for you. And, for example, we're bringing Tia on an episode, in the coming weeks because I want to know what's going on at the sex parties. I want to know what's going on in the non-monogamy space. We may be a little bit removed from it, but I still love that community. And I still, like I said, I still champion for all of it. So yeah, anyways, I'm proud of it too.
I am. Yeah.
So before we get started on the two things that I wanted to talk about for today, let us dive into first.
Oh, yes. Let's do our segment First Time brought to you by Iroha. And guys, if you haven't heard of Iroha, they are a wonderful sex toy brand. They're going to elevate your pleasure. They've got the best materials for their toys. And you can always use our code DTF10 to shop for some savings when you're looking for maybe your first vibrator, maybe your next to add to your collection. So anyways, let's talk about it.
They are made in Japan. But anyway, so the first time segment is just first time and related to anything with vibrators.
Yep.
In another episode, we asked our friends and we had some really fun responses. But for this one, I wanted to talk about the first time that I ever went inside a sex shop for a vibrator.
Where was this?
It was...
was it in Kansas?
No, it was in Santa Clarita, California, which is a suburb in the mountains of California, if you don't know. It's probably about 45 minutes north of...
It's not walking into Hustlers Hollywood. It's a different experience.
No, it was
it's giving suburbia.
It was in a strip mall, and it was... I remember I walked in and it had that cheesy, toy store, adult toy store feel. It had like VHS and DVDs of porn, which I thought was interesting.
I think we need to bring those back.
Anyway, and it was so interesting because it was a vibrator that I had bought somewhere else. I can't remember, but the charger like broke and stopped working, and I loved that vibrator. It was like one of the first vibrators I ever bought. I was obsessed with it. It was really nice. It was like $100, but the charger wasn't working anymore, and I didn't know how to find a new charger because I couldn't even remember where I got it. So I went to this shop and I asked the lady, I was like, my charger for this broke. Like, I'm looking for a new one. And I thought there was like, I was hoping there would be like a section where like, I don't know, they had chargers, like, when you go to like a store and they have like Apple chargers or like Android chargers.
Oh my God.
I was hoping it would
there's
be like
no
that.
universal system.
No,
I hate that.
There's no, and that's, I think is such freaking bullshit. There's no universal charging system for vibrators, and we need to be talking about that more than we don't do. But anyways, and so there was no wall of chargers. Instead, she like opens the drawer underneath the register. And there's like, it's like a junk drawer. There's like literally like just a bunch of random shit. There's like sticky notes and pens and paper clips
and
then
chargers.
There's like 5 cords, 5 different ones, and I brought the vibrator with me.
You did?
And she literally, I had it in like the box or like the little bag or whatever, I don't remember. And she literally was like, what does it look like? I'm like, it's like 2 metal discs. She's like, I got you. She pulls one out and she was like, try that on. And I like plugged it in, and it, sure enough, it worked. And she just, I was like, okay, how much is it? She was like, you can have it. And I was like, okay, dope.
There you go.
And I left.
It reminds me of the first time that I was trying to figure out how to charge, that little back massager or hand massager wand you can get at on Amazon that's actually a vibrator.
No,
The pink one.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah,
That's
how you
great.
have to, how you have, it looks like, a jack for headphones.
Yeah, but you have
to like punch it through.
Yeah.
I had no idea.
That's funny.
First time I was trying to charge that vibrator, I was like, and that was my first vibrator.
Mm-hmm.
And then I was looking at the cord. I was like, I can't figure it out. And obviously, like, I didn't want to ask anyone. So I'm over here, like, just trying to, finally, I was like, oh, you have to stick it through the silicone. I think that's
not
wild.
even a hole. You just stick
No.
it through the silicone.
And what happens after?
It was wild, yeah. But anyway, so I will never forget that experience because it was so unique. Like,
Yeah.
I don't know.
No, she had that ready to go.
But she was like so helpful too. I loved it. So that was my first time trying to find a charger for my beloved vibrator because my other charger broke.
Mm.
So, and actually I remember how it broke. One of the cats like chewed the cord.
Oh, of course he did.
Anyways, so that was
First Time, brought to you by Iroha. Go to doubleteamedfam.com, click on Iroha and use code DTF10. Get yourself a vibe and a charger. Don't lose it.
Mm-hmm.
I need to really actually organize my chargers because I'm missing half of them, to be honest.
I lost one of the mini that we have. I need to find the charger for that. But yeah, there are so many that I gotten rid of the box, and I don't know where I put the charger. Anyways, okay, so I don't want this to feel like an ad, but this is like a genuine experience and story. Okay, so let me give you guys some backstory. First time I ever, and actually, okay, here, let me start with this. I want to talk about waterproof blankets.
Sex blankets.
Yes. And so my boyfriend and I have been talking about getting one for had been talking about getting one for quite some time because we enjoy a lot of period sex, and sometimes using a towel for that just doesn't it moves around, it's not maybe always the most comfy, especially because we try to use old towels that we don't mind getting dirty, and so sometimes they're not the nicest or the fluffiest or most comfortable. So the whole using a towel thing for period sex has just not been the best experience. So I told him, I was like, let's get a waterproof blanket, a sex blanket. And he was like, dope. And I was like, you know what? I'll start looking and then I'll order one for us and we'll use it. He was like, great, love it. I was like, I think I already know some brands, whatever. I'm not kidding, guys. 2 days later, I get a package at my door. Mind you, I didn't order shit. I get a package at the door.
I told you about this.
I forgot about it until I saw the packages. One for me, one for Cammie. Guess what it was? a waterproof blanket or a
From
sex blanket
Sunny Situations.
from Sunny Situations. I guess somehow in the midst of me trying to find a waterproof blanket, Cammie had secured a brand deal for us with a company that makes waterproof blankets. I have
Sold
never
on Amazon.
sold on Amazon. I have never been so excited in my life. And now I want to say one thing. I have used waterproof blankets before, or sex blankets. So when I was dating my doms, that was the first time I had ever used one. And I remember my female dom was a bit of a squirter, and like a significant amount. So they would often lay down like a waterproof blanket. However, I remember it, and it wasn't bad, but it was very vinyl-y. Like it was, that material. Like it was, I wouldn't say it was like
It's giving those like little aluminum foil warmers people have at Reeves.
Yes, it was giving Dexter a little bit
Yeah.
because it's not like, it wasn't like fluffy or cozy. And that was the one I remember using. I think another time they had another one, but I don't really have much memory of that. But I remember that one significantly because I remember thinking like, okay, it's doing the job. It's protecting everything else from the fluids. However, it is not the most comfy. And so when I wanted to find one, I wanted to make sure that we found one that was like comfy and that like was really nice to like
Cozy.
lay on, cozy. Yes, all of that. And so when I opened this blanket from Sunny Situations, I was fucking ecstatic. It is so cozy and comfortable. And as soon as my boyfriend came into town, I was on my period. So we laid the blanket down and went to town. And one of my favorite things ever was like, I feel like we were like both so excited that we were like using this blanket for the first time. And I just remember he was like, let's make a mess, and it was so nice because I didn't have to worry about a towel moving. I didn't have to worry about getting my bedding all messed up. I didn't have to worry about it, whether or not it was going to be comfortable. Like it is really literally such a nice blanket and we had such a great experience with it. And I remember afterwards I was like looking and like you could see like where the blood and everything was. And I was like, none of that made it onto my bed.
Mm-hmm.
And it was phenomenal. And we used it a few times actually because obviously like I was still on my period. But I think what I also really liked was that like, if there are any other fluids afterwards, like, sometimes when you're laying in bed, like I almost want to use it like not on period sex too, like just for any regular sex because like, like if there are any other fluids afterwards and like you get up and now like you have to make sure it doesn't get on your bedding or whatever.
You mean like all the cum, yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Or if like you're dripping. And so it was literally like such a great experience. And like I said, we used it a few times throughout that week and also sweat. Like I feel like my bed wasn't sweaty afterwards. And then I just wrapped it up, threw it in the wash. It was ready to go the next day when we wanted to use it again. And like, I felt like it was an adulting hack in sex. It's literally what it felt like.
So I got to use mine for the first time the other day.
What did you think?
Well, I got my period and I was like, when I brought it to my boyfriend, I was like, we can finally like not use all of your fucking towels every single time. So we laid it down and it was really comfortable. And that's what I really liked about it. It was comfy. It was black and I think gray on the other side. They have a few color options. And afterwards, like we washed it and then we just folded it back up, put it right next to the bed.
And
like,
it's still just as cozy.
It washes really nicely.
Yeah. I was worried about that because when I washed it, I was like, oh man, is it going to get like hard? But no, it didn't. What we didn't use it for and what I would like to use it for to see how it holds up is piss play.
Oh.
Yeah.
Because I thought you were going to say squirting. I'm like, I don't even know if you're...
No, I don't know how to squirt, but I love getting peed on. So I want to...
But you like getting peed on outside of the shower?
I haven't tried it yet. And mainly it's been because like I feel like if you use normal towels, it's just going to get like, it's going to all soak up. It's going to be gross.
Yeah.
That's why I kind of want to try the blanket for that and see how that works because I think it would like either absorb better or like not absorb. Because I was looking at the way that like blood or fluids was on it and it does almost have like it absorbs a little bit, but not a whole lot. So that it kind of like, it doesn't soak into it. It like stays on top of the fibers, which I liked.
Yeah.
So I do
it's like
want
a duck in water.
Yes.
Glides off. I don't know.
So I do want to try it out for some golden showers and see how it holds up for that. But yeah, we're very blessed that with the pod we get to try out a lot of really cool products. And when I say I have, never been more excited about a particular product, we have had so many ones that I've been excited to try, but I was literally so excited because I had been on the hunt for a waterproof blanket, and lo and behold, one just shows up at my doorstep.
I know Nikki's version of On the Hunt. She was probably yeah, Nicole.
I did like 3 Amazon
I was
searches.
gonna say she probably looked it up one time, clicked 2 links, and was like, "I'll consider it in 10 business days." So like, I know what On the Hunt means for you.
That is literally what it is. She knows me too well.
Yeah, I do.
Anyways, so again, one showed up at my doorstep, so it doesn't matter. It all worked
Yeah,
out.
that's it.
So I think, like I said, let 2025 be the year of the waterproof blanket. If you're an adult, get a waterproof blanket or a sex blanket, whatever you want to call it. And honestly, if you're a man and your excuse for not having period sex this whole time has been like, I don't want to get my sheets dirty, I don't want to make a mess, whatever, here's the solution. Lay a waterproof blanket down and go to town.
Okay, if you want your own sex blanket or waterproof couples blanket, go to sunnysituations.com and use code DTFAM for 10% off. Again, that's sunnysituations.com and use code DTFAM. I also do like that they are at a good price point.
And I can't wait to use it again. So yeah, be a man. Go buy a waterproof blanket. You have no excuse for not.
Also, it just looks like a regular blanket. So if you want to, use it around friends and family, or you don't want your mother asking, "What's this blanket?" you can just be like, "It's a regular blanket."
That's another thing too, is it looks like a regular blanket.
Yeah, use it for your dog,
it doesn't even have to be.
bathed your dog, and he wants to jump
That's
on the
so
couch.
smart. Hold on. Because the first thing that Lobo does every single time I give him a bath is run onto my bed. So, oh my God, now next time before I even go give him a bath, I can lay that blanket down.
Yeah.
So many uses. Get a waterproof blanket. Let 2025 be the year of waterproof blankets. Okay, so another thing I did want to talk about, and this is just a little short segment on growth.
Oh,
Yay. I have decided to go back to therapy.
oh
Yeah.
yeah. I went to therapy today for the first time since August.
Oh, wow. It's been a while.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I know.
1, my therapist raised her roots. 2, when I entered my relationship, I really wanted to focus on that. But I did realize, like other things that plague my mind, past wounds. Just because you enter a relationship doesn't mean like all your past trauma just poof goes away.
No, in fact,
if anything, it is a time for you to put your shit to practice.
No, because
and change your patterns.
I feel like getting into a relationship did nothing but shine a giant fucking spotlight on all my trauma that that I needed to fix.
Exactly. So I went back because I was like, you know what? I don't want my past patterns negatively affecting the first great, healthy relationship I've had. For the month of January, Aroha is holding a best-selling items sale. So, where 10 of their best-selling Arohas are 15% off. Each has its own unique features, and you should definitely check them out now and save some money. The promotion ends January 31st. So, get to it.
They're great for insertion. So, you can use it as a vibrator, or you can use it as something that you insert.
And I also do think that they take a lot of care for their design, which I love. The Mai has a really sleek shape that I think, especially for like holding, if you're using it for insertion, and just for like maybe you're placing it or you're like lightly holding it for self-play, it's great all around. Of course, like we have a promo code for you to use. Go to doubleteamedfam.com. That's our link tree with all of our branded sponsors. doubleteamedfam.com. click on Iroha and use code DTF10 for 10% off your next or your new Iroha.
Guys, you know how much we love to champion for STD testing because it is important. It is your civil fucking duty, especially if you're single and you're, having multiple sexual partners or sexual encounters, whatever it may be. Go get tested. And we love STD Hero. And I think one of the best things about this company is that they offer HPV testing. So many people forget to test for HPV, which
it's not in a standard panel.
It's not in a standard panel. And for women, the only time they really do it is when they go get a pap smear. But like a man could be spreading HPV and have no fucking clue.
Exactly. And there's so many different strains of HPV. It's like the flu.
Exactly. And, it is common and the body's supposed to fight it. But I think if you are at least aware that it is something that you have, you can be a lot more proactive about doing something to take care of it and to treat it, whatever the treatment out there looks like.
Also, their common STD panel tests for trichomoniasis, which is another one that you don't find in a normal STD test. So I think this is a great STD Hero has got you covered on both of those ends. You can get oral HPV testing, genital HPV testing, and then when you test for gonorrhea and chlamydia, you can get tested for trichomoniasis. Go to stdhero.com. Again, that's stdhero.com and use code DTF10. Again, that's DTF10 at stdhero.com to get some savings on your next test. Valentine's Day is coming up. You know what that means. Get you some high love.
No better way to celebrate Valentine's Day than with High Love from ViaHemp. Honestly, those are my favorite gummies that they have.
They really are.
They're so
I have to
good.
cut them in half, though.
Yeah, they can be a little strong.
Pack a punch.
They do pack a punch.
But if you're sensitive girly like me.
But maybe you want a punch for Valentine's Day.
Yeah, maybe you do. Yeah.
Especially with that coming up.
Really get in the mood.
So, yeah, give High Love a try. I'm pretty sure this is what we also said for Valentine's Day last year. And I just want to know, which of you took our advice and got them for Valentine's Day? Because you are probably thanking us.
Mm-hmm. I really do love their diamond infused pre-rolls. Those have been my jam lately.
Really?
Mm-hmm.
Nice.
Yeah. They actually, I don't know if they have aphrodisiacs in them, but sex on those.
Okay, noted.
Guys, if you are interested in getting you some ViaHemp, go to ViaHemp's website, linked in our episode description, and use code DTFAM for 15% off. Again, go to the link in the episode description, use code DTFAM for 10% off.
Same for me.
Possibly ever,
No, that's the same for me. That's exactly why. I feel like so much of my past, trauma was starting to project onto my relationship that I realized I'm I don't want to bring this into this, I don't want to bring the past into this relationship. And I'm glad that I am seeing that I still need to kind of touch base on these things and fix them. And I want to do better and I want to be better and I want to show up better for my partner. And so, yes, he can help me somewhat with some of the past traumas, reassurance, validation, all those things, but it's not his responsibility. It's on me. And so I figured okay, I'm going to get a therapist and I want to start working some of these things here in that space so that I'm not bringing it into my relationship, so that that's not the main focus. We can focus on growing together and, working through any differences we have or whatever. And I can sort that out on the side. And I had my first session today, and that was the first time that I've been to therapy in probably close to 2 years, maybe around 2 years. And it felt really good. And what I also loved is that because I'd been to therapy before, when we did the intro call to see if it would be a good fit, I told her, I'm look, this is the kind of support that I got in the past from this therapist. And it was really great. And that's what I needed at the time. But this is the support that I'm looking for now in this moment in time and in this situation. And this is what I'm going to need. And she was okay, got it. Thank you for letting me know. And I was really proud of myself for being able to clarify that to her. And then today, when we went to the session, she did that. She was able to provide exactly what I was looking for. And I remember in the middle of it being this is exactly what I needed. This is it is worth every penny. And I felt really good walking away from that session. So yeah, I know. I mean, I've always been a big advocate for therapy. I think it's great. And I'm just really like, I'm happy to be back in it. I don't know how long I'll be in it. I'm doing sessions every other week because before I was doing therapy like once a week. And I think that was a little bit of an overkill. At times I was like, well, I've already talked about this and like, I don't want to talk about it again, but sure, we can kind of dissect it a little bit more. Or like nothing was coming up. And so now I'm like, okay, I'm going to try out this like every other week cadence, see if that works. Maybe a month or two and we can reevaluate and see if we need more or less or whatever, or just, 6 months in, evaluate whatever that looks like. But it really can be what you want it to be. Like, think about it. Like, it is a service that you're paying for. So if you want to tell your therapist, like, I need you to call me out on my shit today, they can do that. Or if you want to go into it and be like, today I need someone to just tell me it's going to be okay and baby me and coddle me and like, that kind of thing. Like, they can provide that too.
My therapist did some voodoo shit today.
Oh,
yeah. Well, because I have a somatic therapist. So, like, I go in and she's usually like, like she has like a hand on my kidney or something, or like on my neck or whatever. She like, she'll use like essential oils. It's like being on a massage table and just like talking. It's kind of like Reiki sometimes. Anyways, so I'm, I'm telling her, some of the things that have been plaguing my mind and, how past wounds are coming up. And she was like, okay, well, where's your adult self? She's not showing up. You're letting your inner child run the show when she's upset, And so, we're talking about like some triggers, blah, blah, blah. And at one point, like, I'm just like, they're like laying on the table with like, she has like all these little like teddy bears that are weighted. And I just have like 6 different weighted teddy bear bag things on me. And I'm just like, there. And she said something, like, a trigger wound point that makes me immediately start crying. And she's like, okay, all right, well, okay, there's your inner child. Like, now let's bring your adult so we can talk about it. And I'm like wailing and crying. And then, and then I'm like, how she did it. It was just like the way she was like, okay, like talk to me, not as your wounded self, but as your, your rational, your adult self, basically. And just the way that she like coaxed it out of me, I felt like I went from like, 7-year-old me with trauma to like, 31-year-old me with the ability to handle it.
And wisdom.
Yeah. And she told me, she was like, okay, whenever you're feeling like this, and I forgot to do this. And honestly, like, and I've talked about this before, in Vanilla Sundays and on other episodes. And I'm like, and I haven't gone back to some of my practices that help me stay grounded. She's like, you need to ground yourself. She was like, what's the date? How old are you? What's your full name? Like, what is in front of you? What's going to ground you? Like, say those 3 things, so to get your mind out of the past and instead into the present where you are, So
I love
she did that. And I was just like, oh, okay, all right. That was worth the $200. Here you go. So, like,
I know that's how I felt walking away from my therapy session. I was like, well, I pay $150. It's not somatic therapy, it's talk therapy. But I was like, that was worth every penny. I will gladly give you $150.
Which reminds me, I need to pay her.
But yeah, so it's felt really good. It's felt nice. And I'm just glad to be in it. I still do really want to try somatic therapy someday, but like I also realize that like right now I'm like so everything the way that I'm like processing is so like mental that like I need someone to talk through things. And I literally told her before when we were doing our like intro call, I was like, sometimes I just want the space, like, for me to go through every irrational thought or, thing that I've had in the last like 2 weeks. And for someone to be like, is that really like something you should be like worrying about, like calling me out on my bullshit. And so, but today, like I was going through something and I asked her at the end of it, I like told her the whole situation. At the end of it, I asked her for advice. And instead of giving me advice, she asked me like a series of like 5 or 6 questions. And each question were things that I had never considered before. And I answered each of them. And then at the end of it, she was like,
ooh, wait, I want to know this.
Yeah.
What are the questions?
Well, it was kind of specific to the situation, but like she asked me like all these. Yeah, sure. She asked me like all these questions. And at the end of it, she was like, so you're telling me, she kind of like summarized my responses. She was like, you're telling me that, you know, based on this, you felt this. So you did this and it made you feel this, like da 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 da. And she almost like, it's like she had me put together the advice for myself.
Mm-hmm.
And at the end of it, she was like, so she's like, would you say that you think this is probably the right thing to do? Or like, this is like what you feel good doing or whatever. And I was like, yeah. And she was like, okay, well then there's your answer. And I was like, huh? I'm sorry, what kind of
Who are
you? What kind of voodoo shit
What
was
have you
that?
done?
You know, so it was a really cool exercise and I loved it. And I was like, if you could do that for like every thought I
Can we
have
do this like not
every day,
Yeah.
that would be great. But anyways, so I'm thrilled, honestly. Like after I walked away feeling like $1,000,000, I walked away really proud of myself for like being willing to do this again and finally doing it, because I've literally been talking about doing therapy again since like October.
Yeah.
When I went last time I came back from Italy, I noticed that things were starting to come up and I told my boyfriend, I was like, I really want to go back to therapy, but I had put it off this long because like, I don't know, I just had, you know, sometimes you feel a little exhausted at the thought of like going into a room with someone or a video call in this situation with someone and like sorting through your shit. Like it sounds exhausting, so you just kind of put it off. But finally, like it got to the point where I was like, no, I really need to face this. So I did, and I'm glad because it felt really good. And I really am looking forward to my next session. It'll be 2 weeks from now, you know, and
For me,
yeah,
I think
that'll be
with
good.
going with, you know, being or doing therapy again, hopefully going back soon. I am going to be sad once I move to San Diego that I'm going to have to find a new therapist.
What if you just like train up? I don't know.
Yeah, but that can get expensive. But, you know, I'm really trying to learn for myself what it means for me to process an emotion.
Yeah.
What it means for me to feel an emotion.
Mm-hmm.
Because I feel like oftentimes I, you know, subconsciously will push things back.
Yeah, I do that all the time.
Or, you know, or I don't fully grasp, like my brain doesn't understand what it means to process, you know, a situation or an emotion. Like, what do I need? So that's what I'm trying to go through right now is like, how do I process things when they come up? Because, you know, one thing about like entering a new relationship is that like it is really vulnerable. It's happy, it's lovey-dovey, it's, you know, beautiful and, you know, fun, and you get to, you know, have sex with someone you really, really like, and it's really great. But then at the end of the day, it's vulnerable.
Yeah, you gotta open
Because
up.
now you're trusting this human with all your shit. They're trusting you with their shit. And then hopefully that shit is compatible. In the sense that like you're both like, okay, well, I'm here for you. You're here for me. Let's do this together. Let's get through this shit together. And that's a very vulnerable thing to go through.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I think I used to, you know, think that I let people in.
I actually didn't.
And I actually, I
Yeah,
was like,
yeah.
oh, wait, actually, no, never mind. I
No.
just talked a lot, but that doesn't mean I let people in.
And that's the thing
know,
is like
I feel like
transparency is not vulnerability.
There, exactly. Transparency is not vulnerability.
Mm-hmm.
You know, transparency is not letting someone in. Letting
Transparency is good.
someone, yeah, no, absolutely.
Transparency is great. However, that doesn't mean you're
But-
actually like letting someone in.
letting someone in means letting them see all of your dark corners.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it's like I think about the one person who knows me, every dark corner is you.
I know.
And even then, there have been times that I've struggled to show you that, you know?
No, I mean, there have been times where like I've felt embarrassed to tell you something,
Exactly.
or I've felt like I hid something from you because I didn't feel great about it. And those were usually
Yeah.
the times where it was like if there was something that was like, you know, it got to the point where I wouldn't even tell you, because I do tell you everything. Like if it was something that I wouldn't even tell you, that's when I knew it was something I really need to fix, something I
Yeah.
really need to work on. that was like always like one of the biggest indicators for me, was because I was like, if I can't even share this with you, then there's something wrong here and I need to fix it and I need to write it.
I feel thankful in the sense that like I get to test that with you in a regard, you know.
Mm-hmm.
Like I feel like throughout these last, like, I don't know, 4 or 5 years where I've just gone through some really tumultuous moments, like in relationships and getting to know myself and, you know, kind of struggling with, you know, healing the past, things like that. And then finally I come to, you know, this point where it's like I feel a lot more aware and healed and, you know, more ready, you know, and finally at the point where I am in a relationship where I feel like I can stand up for myself and be vulnerable. I'm very thankful that I had you throughout all that time.
No, I think the same. And it's funny because like my therapist at one point, she like stopped me and she was like, I hope you know, like, you know, everything that you're explaining to me. She was like, you have great communication and you seem like someone that is like really like, you know, knows how to like communicate your feelings, knows how to like find the balance in, you know, the situation, like, and everything that you like take into consideration. She was like, I just want to take a moment for you to acknowledge the fact that like you're doing really well with communication here. And I appreciated it so much. And I thanked her for that. And I told her, I was like, I think the reason why like I'm so good at communicating is because of, you know, you. Like,
yeah.
I told her,
you've been one of my biggest teachers.
No, I always say that too.
So thank you.
No, thank you.
Yeah.
But anyway, so yeah, get a waterproof blanket and maybe go back to therapy.
Yep.
Balance. What a combo.
Yep.
Anyways, guys, thanks for tuning in.
I do want to give a quick shout out. I am launching my course.
Oh yes,
That's
Cammie's
a
got a
vulnerable
project.
thing.
Everyone, please congratulate Cammie in this because I am so proud, and go buy it. Even if you don't have kids, share it with someone that has children.
We'll drop the link in the episode description. I'll be marketing it more, but I do want to give a big shout out to myself and my, I guess, business partner that I've been working with in creating this course. It's taken me a year, but I'm super excited to launch it and hopefully help parents teach their children about sex in a really holistic, you know, factual way that gets them the information that they need to avoid any, you know, confusion, sticky situations, pain even. So yeah.
Awesome. We'll put that in the episode description. Thank you guys for tuning in. Wear condoms.